Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Today, talking about excitement or fun or entertainment or something on Sorare, because I've had a number of conversations this week, actually over the last few weeks, that I kind of hinted about. I think it was on yesterday's show, Sorare Andrews, a very, very serious Halloween edition of Sorare Andrews that covered all very serious Sorare topics. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. But the number of people I have either directly spoken with or am in discords with that are kind of losing the fun. And we're going to talk about that today. Thank you to everybody for coming in. Malky, way to be first on the podium. Mikey Baston made it on the podium. How about that? And Ryan Walter, only podium I'll get this weekend. Ryan, only with that attitude. Podiums for all. Sorare Wakey, what's up? Anyan, thanks for coming in. Anyan said, I think the specialist competitions they're doing are a great way to bring some more excitement back. The ones with cash rewards. Nobody wants cards or boxes. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think restricting is fun. I mean, what you do behind closed doors is your own business, but whatever. Cheers to you. I'm not going to kink shame. Is that what it was called? I think that's what Tuggy told me. Said I should actually apologize to somebody. It was the animal bone collector. I forget who that was, but I apologize because I feel like I did kind of not disparage it, but it's just unknown to me, and I kind of acted like that, and I apologize for kink shaming the bone collecting. Anyway, Jordan, what's up? Palmwa, Kev Hurd in the house. Sorare Strats, Bruzel. The quality of these thumbnails just gets better every day. I've been putting a little more effort in. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a great designer, and I find most YouTube thumbnails to be incredibly stupid, and I just can't get myself to actually post one with my mouth wide open, pretending I'm either surprised, shocked, or scared. And so I'm going to try my best otherwise. But sometimes I just don't have the effort. I don't have the energy to do one that's really exciting. Not that today's was all that exciting, but, had a little bit more into it. Anyway, Surfilo, what's up? Glad to see you here. Germ, hello. Mike said, is that for your Midtjylland trip? Because not all Danish people dress like Vikings. No, it's not, but that's it. And Mike Baston, in an answer to the thumbnail, which was, are you not entertained? He said, no, not as much as I used to be. And so we'll talk about that. Not specifically Mike, but I will use Mike as an example. Shaforko, what's up? Rasko Masaki said, I would be more entertained if they didn't kill boxes. Fair. Tom Godfrey, what's up? Sorry. Johnny, what's up? Sorare Scout, you will not see the, I'm just going to call it the thumbnail face. Yeah, Shaforko said, so fun. How everyone is mad. Hold on, sorry. So fun. How everyone is mad on Sorare from month to month, and let's say Sorare disappears in one day would all be a tragedy. Yeah. Yeah. Philly Dilly says, Gladiator 2 going to be any good? The trailer that I saw, which was only like a very short one, makes it look pretty cool. But who knows? I'll be honest, I haven't seen a movie in the theaters in a long time. So Josh, what's up? Thanks for coming in. The stakes being lower definitely contribute, but I also think a lot of us are just over the honeymoon phase of Sorare, setting X amount of lineups every week for 3 or 4 years straight, are going to take its toll. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is part of it. Absolutely. And I don't want to say like I don't have that yet, because there was a time where not that Sorare was the boring, like not that I thought Sorare as a whole was boring, but the lineup building itself was the drag. And Keith Gator Guy 231 and I have talked about this before, that we both went through this period where lineup building was the worst part of the game. And it wasn't because it like took a long time or any of this, but it was just like card acquisition was really fun and tracking your lineups was fun and winning was fun. But the actual lineup building process and just like looking at your cards each week and it wasn't an enjoyable experience. And I don't think there was like a single thing that took us out of that. Maybe he would argue differently, but it feels like I just, at some point that changed. And, excuse me for a second. So and I don't think that timing lined up with the new gameplay. And so I don't know what it was. And I'm certainly not going to go back and try to figure out. But I will say that I enjoy Sorare a ton right now. I don't know if it's the most I've ever enjoyed it, because I'd have to go back and really think of all of the times I've loved it. But I'm appreciating that there are a lot of longtime users who just don't enjoy Sorare like they used to. And I think I kind of come at this from two ways. One is, we all know people that have played the same fantasy game for like decades. Like, there are people who've played FPL for 15 years. There are people who play fantasy baseball for 30 years. Like, the first time I ever played fantasy baseball was probably 30 years ago. Maybe later than that. Let's call it 25 years ago. I don't play fantasy baseball anymore. And I haven't for 10 years. But like, even though every season is different, it's the same thing every year. And I think Sorare don't even have the benefit of an off season, at least for people who try to play year round, like they play Contender and Challenger, or they used to play Champion America and Champion Asia when like the European season off season came. And so there's just a constant churn with Sorare in terms of, you're making lineups, you're watching your lineups, you're making lineups, you're watching lineups, you're getting cards, and it just keeps going. And so you never really get that break. And people who play fantasy, Sorare NBA and Sorare MLB have a very different experience, because they have a very true off season. And so sometimes I think that's actually a bit healthy, because it's like, all right, you get to step away for a little bit. And like, for people who play DFS, I know that if they play NBA DFS very heavily, the off season is like a really exciting break, because you may love it, but it just takes a lot out of you. And so that's starting to creep in with Sorare. It's not starting, like it's been happening. And I think the new gameplay, and I'll even go back to whenever they announced it, February and March, when they started the transition period and then the new game, that it was such a monumental change that it actually gave a lot of Sorare managers the opportunity to say, I actually don't want to play that game. And that's one of the things that we talked about very early on in the transition on this channel, of the game is going to be very different. The fact that you have to use in-season cards to compete for cash and classic cards to compete for classic cards. And back then boxes weren't even a thought, or at least they weren't an in-season, but it was basically like, is this the game you want to keep playing? And if it's not, then you kind of had this very clear opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to step away. And so we did see some people do that. Or we saw people kind of like change their strategy of, I used to play Rare Pro, Rare Plus, whatever and then I'm going to get rid of my super rares because I don't want to play the super rare division, and Rare Plus doesn't exist anymore. And so we saw kind of that movement. And then there were some people who were like, yeah, maybe I don't even want to play classic. I just want to play in season. So they'd sell all their cards and save up for the in season stuff, or just the opposite. I don't want to play in season and just play classic and kind of consolidate. And there were people who were like, oh, wow, I love this. Let me deposit and spend a ton of money on in-season cards. I'm going to keep my classic and try to win new cards with my old cards, and then my new cards to win cash. And there was because it was such a monumental platform change, it gave us the opportunity to do something different. And I don't want to say like gave us the opportunity. It forced it upon us, obviously. Like if we wanted to play the game we used to play, like that doesn't exist anymore. I appreciate that. But I think that there were also a lot of people who were like, okay, this new gameplay seems really cool. I'm just going to keep my cards and keep playing how I always have. And the failure to adjust then led to boredom. because it was like, oh, great. Now I can't even win as many cards. I'm stuck in lower divisions. I just get this essence, and now essence is even lower. And it's not the same game. And so instead of making the decision, I just don't want to do this anymore. And for a lot of users, take losses on their cards and leave. They just say, well, I'm just going to stay and keep playing because I have these cards. And in the event that Sorare turns around, I want to have these cards to appreciate the upside. And then they just kind of sit and they're bored because they don't really want to do anything to make the experience different, because what they view in the game, like what they have to do to be successful in the game, is just not something they want to do, which, like, teach their own. That's fine. But I feel like it's happening more and more with more established users who, have done this for a few years. And now it's like, well, the game that I used to love is not the same game. And so I don't know if I really want this anymore. Sorry, I went away from the chat. So let's get back here. Palmo said the liquidity outside of auctions and instant buys is a bit different to what I remember. It's very difficult to sell even in-season cards at the moment. I sold 3 of them this morning, in-season cards this morning. Sorare Scout said, what would be the Sorare equivalent of waking up in the wheat fields, cashing out with actual profit? Maybe. There are a lot of people in this game who today can cash out with lots of profit, and they don't. Philly Dilly said, I think the new game is fun, but it's taking a lot of realignment to get where I want, and a good chunk of that realignment is different than what I had prepared for, than I was prepared for, which is fair. Palma said, you have to basically expect anything you buy to sit in your gallery, which is not good for impulse buyers like me. That is kind of an interesting change, that there are, like, the idea of how much can I get for this card when I go to sell it is now secondary to, like, can this card help me win? And that probably should have always been the idea, but it's not now. And so we have to adjust to that. Arthur said, if I miss the game week of the month, is it still worth predicting lineups on Sorare data? Yes, it is. It's always worth it. Mike said, we don't just own our game anymore. So the own your game was a weird tagline because, like, we never really owned the game. We owned the cards. Yeah. Sorare said, I noticed a lot of the older, bigger accounts sell up. Kupu, Roxy, M. Sagan, Monsieur Sagan, Niftio, etc. It just seems like they don't want to put in new money, which you need to do at the top level. So, like, Niftio left a while ago, and Roxy, is obviously, like, the game doesn't fit Roxy's plan anymore. I can't speak to Sagan, and Kupu is so. Kupu spent $69 million on a single NFT, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they start playing. But, like, Kupu is wildly profitable on this site. You will never tell me otherwise, particularly selling cards now. Like, I bet Kupu hasn't bought a card in 4 years. Let's see. Let's see the last time they bought a card. Sorry for those who are listening, because you're just going to see it. So these are all sales. Are they not even putting lineups in anymore? Boy, why did nobody tell me this? I would have taken some cards. 53 cents for Tony Cruz limited or rare. Sorry, I thought Kupu was still playing. My fault. So yeah, they want their money out. So they've been selling cards. So the last time Kupu won a reward was, here we go, was eight months ago, right? Oh no, 7 months ago. And they still have $1 million gallery. 1,200 rares, 625. Now I don't know what they. Misaki said 25 days ago they bought a Giannis super rare. That's a silly random. Oh yeah, there you go. My fault. From Bellama. Yeah, like I don't know them, so I can't speak like I know what's going on. But the you're right, I can't change all the buys and sales to acquisitions. I should have done that. It was mostly I wanted to see how many cards they were selling. But so like I can't speak to that. But I can also speak to the fact that Kupu hasn't put any money in the platform in years. So Kupu's selling out. Like, what is that? I'm not sure that changes a lot. Maybe it lowers the floor on some cards, but it's not like new money was coming in from them anyway. When did Niftio? I ended up with a ton of Niftio's cards, actually, the River Plate cards. I guess he's still selling. So 3 months ago. Oh, so it was after yeah. But again, I don't speak to Niftio either, so I can't tell like why they left. I think it's clear that a lot of these people were probably like NFT people, and maybe they just don't think that Sorare NFTs can yield as much as other investments at this point. I think those guys definitely looked at this as an investment an investment and ETH accumulation tool for sure. And they clearly think that they can yield better elsewhere. And so they go somewhere else. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I mean, obviously for all of us, it's better if we have 10 Pranksies instead of just one. But I don't know. I was talking to Harry yesterday, and like the prices on cards back then were just absurd. Like literally absurd. Cards of players we've never heard of and never heard of again, selling for hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. And those guys bought a lot of those cards, won a lot of them, sold a lot of them, and now they feel better about not doing that right now. And I like, what are you going to do? And I think it's funny how many people are concerned about the people who play, like the number of people who play uniques, even though like should I care about how many people play uniques? And everybody's going to say like, well, Sorare need to make revenue from the unique and super rare sales. And if they don't, then they won't have enough money to fund the limited and rares. And I can't worry myself with that. It's not anything I have any control over. And so having to like looking at these bigger galleries, like, yeah, it's better when they're around for sure. But also I think we're starting to make up for them anyway. There's a healthier platform that allows us to yield at certainly lower levels, and the upside isn't as high, which is probably why those guys are gone. I pointed because I'm looking at my live chat and I see Sorare Josh's comment with all the names on it. But like we don't know like why. But Kupu, like when was the last time Roxy even bought a card? Like at some point on this platform, like you have enough cards, right? Although that changes now with in season. So let's see. The last time, can I exclude rewards? There we go. So 10 months ago is the last time Roxy got a new card. And that was just before the new gameplay, right? But again, when you had, I mean, Roxy's gallery was 10 times this probably, right? That makes sense. But again, like they're done. They obviously, like when you have a gallery that big, you have to sell it over time. Nobody's that big that they're going to buy $2 million worth of JPEGs from you like that. But yeah, so since the new gameplay, like, I don't know, it feels like the platform is healthier. But yeah, somebody just pointed out the Victor Wembanyama unique sold today. I had no idea. It's probably bad that I had no idea because they should be talking about that louder. Went for 21.888 ETH, which I would guess means YNWA bought it, which is 54,704. Let's see. Oh no, Mr. U. Excuse me. YNWA had the first one. Oh, they battled with each other. Bellama, 44,000. Man, That's a lot of money. So Mr. U now has uniques of Jokic, Wemby, Giannis, Luka. Oh, 2 Giannis's. GG's. That's a lot of money. Is Pranksy more than one person? I don't know. I think Pranksy is one person that also has like a group of people that work with them. So Jake said, can you guess the only hollow card not to be found yet? And do you think those early access cards have added value until it's found, or is that chase just irrelevant now? I thought all of them were found. I thought the Tadic one was the last one and somebody got it. So I don't know. I will say that I bought an early access card yesterday. One of the cool tools on Sorare Data is the ability to see cards. So I'm trying to think of if I can find an example. No, he has new season ones. But anyway, I bought a Marco Bulat card yesterday, and the instant buy. So there were 2 instant buys available. And I saw that on this page, which I can't see. I mean, you can see the instant buys right now. But if you notice that there are 2 instant buys shown here. And they are, let's see, serial number 76 and 70. So if you go on to Sorare, they will only show you one of the instant buys because they sell them one at a time. So the one that they're selling right now is 70, but let's say you wanted 76. So I just go up to the link here and I change the link to 76, and then you can buy the 76. And so the card that I bought was actually an early access card. Like they were selling a regular one, and the next one would have been early access. But because of what I saw on Sorare Data, I could see that the next one was early access. And so I bought that one purely because I thought, hey, could be a special edition. That would be really cool. And it wasn't. But I bought it because I thought it was like, there was a draw for me for those cards. So yeah, I think early access absolutely. And I know that like the hollows are only limiteds, and that one, my one was a rare, but like even the opportunity at a special edition card, I think was really fun. And actually, I think it was Peter, what's his name, tweeted today that he like misses the special edition cards, or it misses like being able to get them. Packs. Let's see. Is that what he said? Yeah. I miss opening those packs. One more special edition. I agree. They're fun. They're a lot of fun. But we're not here to talk about fun. We're here to talk about no fun. Oh, there's Peter. I want more packs. Yeah, they're fun. Oshiman is still not out, I don't think. I didn't know he got one. Does he have? Yeah, he has Gala cards. I guess not. I don't know. Let's look for it. For those listening, you're just going to his Sorare Data player page, going to cards, and then selecting the special editions filter. I mean, there are a bunch of unwrapped Oshiman cards. That's funny that only the special edition ones are showing. Yeah, I wonder how. I don't know. These are cool though. Those are last season's though. So yeah, I don't know where it is. I forgot that he was one of them. Yeah, nowhere to be seen. Toby said, I bought a condom wrapper Lakonga this week and got a special edition. There we go. There we go. Why are there still early access cards when picks are available? No clue. No clue. I will say that I have Nick Olai from Sparta, who has a picture on the Sparta website, Sparta Rotterdam website, and not no Sorare card, and it's driving me nuts. Major NFT said, just noticed I have 6 lineups missing weirdly from this game week. Anyone else? Yes, there was a lineup import. I assume you mean on Sorare data. There was a lineup import issue, and so we're redoing it. So they should come. Don't worry. Fripp, what's up? Thanks for coming in. I would even put Fripp in this category of people who, I don't think Fripp is bored. Maybe you are, Fripp, if you want to admit it. But I don't think Fripp's as excited about Sorare today as he was in the past. Mike Bass. Oh, yeah. Julian Bass also missing. Yeah, I don't know. So I think there's a number of things that go into the boredom issue. And whether some people want to admit it or not winning as much plays a part in it. And so I don't know if Sorare needs to do something about that. It's kind of like Sorare is kind of in this weird position because they probably don't want those people playing anymore so that new players can win more rewards. And like that's sort of one of the problems with some of these people who've been around a long time is that they've been snowballing rewards for years. And so like even the lineups they put in now are winning more rewards, winning rewards. And that's why they had to take away the threshold, because this was like you bought 10 cards and now all of a sudden you have 100 cards and you've won all this ETH. And so it's like, we need people to buy cards. Like we need to stop bleeding money by giving away money to people who have bought cards once. And you could make the argument that people bought cards at the beginning with the expectation they could use those cards forever, which they can still use the cards, but they don't want to hear that because they can't get that unlikely podium win that would actually gave them cash. But the kind of question that, not question, but the moment that made me start realizing how many people are feeling this way was a conversation with, I don't even necessarily want to say who they are, but they were saying they were bored about how really the only thing to do now is set lineups. And this is a user that has a ton of cards, so they don't really like and I talked about this with Andy a little bit yesterday, and I might have mentioned with Harry earlier this week, but it's like there are a decent number of galleries on the platform right now that probably have enough cards to keep playing without ever buying a card ever again. And I don't think that's like the optimal way to play, but they have so many cards. And it's like when you have 1,000 cards, let's say, buying 2 or 3 more both sounds like no big deal. And also like, I just can't be arsed with this. And so sorry, Major MT said the glitch is on Sorare. It might be a glitch. Had 41 in, showing 35 now. It's possible the difference is your training lineups. So the kind of issue is when we had the gameplay change, that there was like something to do. If you were like really into the game and you were like, all right, this is how my gallery is set up, but with this new gameplay change, I realized I'm going to have to like make adjustments to my gallery. And so the next few weeks and months were that. The game was, you kept submitting your lineups every game week, but it was like, let me make sure my gallery is set for August for when either the new season cards come out or I'm as competitive as I can be in classic competitions so that I can win new cards so that I can either sell them or use them to win cash. And now that like the gameplay is in, you've done all of that work and you've adjusted your 1,000 cards, and now maybe you have 1,200 or you have 800 or whatever. Now it's just like, all right, now I just got to play my cards. And it kind of misses the point that you should be always looking to like improve what you have. But I imagine at some point you just have so many cards and you're just like, I just don't want any more cards. That doesn't mean you don't want better cards, but you don't even want to make the effort to make them better. Misaki said, the thing I dread is once next season rolls around that you're going to have so many classics, which like was the case. Like I was going to say, and Misaki said, and on top of that, needing new seasons yet again. I was going to say, like, we did that every year. Like every year a new season started and we still had all these classic cards. And eventually we were going to get to the point where we were like, wow, there's a lot of classic cards. But it is different now because we probably wouldn't buy new class. Like we weren't buying new cards because they were new. You just bought new cards if you needed them because you had all your classic cards. And it's like, all right, let me just buy new ones that happen to fit in with my old ones. And collections change that a little bit. But yeah, the fact that like we're going to be buying new cards every year to play in-season competitions and every single year they become classics, you're going to end up with so many cards. Fripp said, my last speculative purchase was Matt Turner 3 months ago. That's terrible for me. Sorare Cumry said, not bored yet, but the fun of long-term speculating and lack of liquidity has made it less fun. Is it lack of liquidity or lack of being able to sell cards that probably have very, very little value anyway? Which maybe it's the same thing. Sorry. Josh said, but is that not their own fault for just using the same cards over and over? What's stopping them selling some older cards and using that money to buy new ones? There's nothing. There's nothing stopping them. And I think that's kind of so Josh, I think that's what a lot of people plan on doing. The problem is that we need enough people who want to buy those classic cards. Because if they don't, then all of a sudden they're just not worth anything. Chris said, do you think next season they make in-season full in-season? It's one of those things, Chris, that like I think we all would like understand why they did it, but I really hope that they appreciate how much of a negative impact that has on classic cards. Because even though you can only play one per competition, that one is really important. And like I know some people who buy elite classic cards to play an in-season. And I think Sorare taking that away would be a bummer. Anion said, I think the problem is that you would have 4 or 5 Kimmiches at one point if you buy one every season. Which is funny because Roxy, one of the people we were talking about earlier, at one point had like 25 Kimmich rares, maybe more. And there were like 4 places to play it. Fripp said it's different due to the humongous gap between classic and in-season, and Sorare minting more cards closer to 100 now. 100 of 100. Major NFT said, I think selling cards has become harder, which I agree with. Well, I mean, harder. You just don't get as much as you want for them. They're not worth what everybody thinks they're worth. Everybody looks at last sale and they're like, that's what my card's worth. And someone's like 5% less. And you're like, no, it's not worth that. It's worth my price. I'm like, okay. I had offers out on cards up until the deadline today that I was going to use in this game week. I was totally like YOLOing, FOMOing, whatever. Speaking of which, if anybody has, I don't even remember what his first name is, Tefurner from Mathis Tefurner from Tyrol. He's going to have 100 this weekend because I tried to get his card and I didn't. And so where was I going with that? Oh, and like just back and forth. And it's like, this is what I wasn't desperate for the card. And a couple people were selling cards that I wanted. Tefurner wasn't the only one. And it was like that back and forth. They decided what their card was worth. I knew what I wanted to pay and we didn't get a deal done. I'll see if they end up selling or not. Misaki said, can you imagine if they made super rare unique full in season? I don't think they could do that. Sorare Strat says, as a more recent player, just over a year, and mainly Prem player, I'm really enjoying the new structure more. Maybe the novelty is just not worn off on me, though. I mean, I think the hope is that it doesn't wear off and that we all really like this competing for cash in in-season comps. And it's okay if we don't all do it, but I don't know. We'll see. Mike said, geez, I'd bite if somebody offered me 95% for a card. Lucky if I get 70%. But Mike, maybe you're just not listing for the like 95% of your price maybe 110% of what the market actually thinks that the card is worth. Major MT said, I find they list longer. I'm trying to sell a classic Jonathan David, had it low floor, and it did not sell. Oh, well, not the end of the world. So let's look at Jonathan David. One of the most minted rare cards on the platform, because David's been around forever. So floor price, but it was a classic, he said, right? So 75.51. So let's just look. I guess the last week is fine. So last sale, 74.82 for classic. Somebody spent 81 on the 30th. But like, so this is 3, 4, 5, 6 classic cards have sold in the last the week, 8 days, 9 days. Like, I don't think Jonathan David is that liquid of a card anyway, just from a platform standpoint. Like, there are 421 rare cards of Jonathan David, classic rares, on the platform. And how many people are dying to add a classic Jonathan David card? I mean, maybe they want them. I don't know. David's like one player that, like, if he seems like everyone who's been on Sorare a long time has had, and I've never had one. Surfield said, along the lines of Josh's point, it feels like a lot of those who are bored are just stubbornly attached to old strategies. The forced adaptation is frustrating, but I've enjoyed changing the way I play. So I don't think it's like, I don't think it's stubbornness. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But Josh, that's the point I was kind of trying to make, and I didn't even get there. But he said everyone who wants a Jonathan David classic probably, already has one. Yeah, like you're on a platform right now where 421 people, maybe some people have more than one, but let's call it 400 people have a Jonathan David classic card. How many more people want that? Malky said, what do you think about the future of collections? Do a revamp? The idea of collecting is kind of at odds with the new SO5 format. I think Sorare did a really nice job of getting us excited about collections and then forgetting about them, which is a bummer because I like collections. I think they're fun. I think like chasing to build a collection is fun. It's a fun part of the game for me. I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to like go into a lot of it, but the total drop of collections, other than like, oh, here's a collection bonus, is weird. That they clear out the club shop of all of these jerseys when in a single go, when they have all these collectors building collections and not getting any benefit from it. Like every so often they had like a collection event and they'd send a jersey out, and it just seems like they could be doing more for collections. I'm not here to say they should be giving away like Essence or whatever, because Peter might never talk to me again if I suggest Essence being given away in other places. But it seems like a bit of a dropped ball. So yeah, it's disappointing because I think collecting is really fun. And even if they just had a cooler way to like display your collections, it would be cool, but I don't know. Germ said, I think losing club badges is extremely lame. Give me my Ren badge back. So I understand why they don't keep them, meaning like why we don't get the badges, which is why I think all of the badges should be NFTs. Even make them untradeable NFTs. Hashtag not your game. But I don't know. It's weird. I don't know why. Major MT said MLB did a good thing about it with collections. I didn't collect anything on MLB, so I'm not sure. Mike said, isn't us getting excited about something and then forgetting about it their MO these days? Maybe. Andre said, you can have any long-term plan if they change the rules all the time. So strategy is basically not a thing in Sorare anymore. I don't think strategy is not a thing, but long-term strategy. I think it is interesting to hear how many people are now thinking about platform changes when they consider like longer-term strategies. And maybe they're not even the ones who are thinking of it. It's more like when you start talking about it and someone's like, well, what if Sorare do this? And you're like, oh, yeah. Germ said, why isn't the badge an additional NFT tied to that season and a 1% boost to all cards in that collection? And Mike said, why couldn't they just add the year to the badge so you could keep it? I mean, I'm sure there are regular or legal reasons why they can't do it, but I mean, that's it. That's it. Surf, you got a Roberto super. Oh, I knew that. Never mind. A strategy is always long term. I don't think that's correct. Major NFT said, I have almost 1,200 limited cards. I need a bundle for a sale in the market. I need a strategy to bundle for a sale in the market. Oof. That's so many cards. Anyway. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is for Sorare to convince these kind of like older users who are getting bored, because I think the only thing they can think of is let's just go back to what we had. Get rid of divisions. See, the threshold thing's a little weird because you can't do that. But like, let us win cash with our classic cards, and don't force me to buy in season, which they don't do, but they have to, I guess. So I don't know what they do, but there does seem to be like a strong, it's almost turning into indifference, and that might even be worse than boredom. And so, yeah, like what do they do to fix that? Chris said, are you bored, Laird? Missed the start, so I'm not sure if you covered it then. I did not cover it, but no, I'm not. And I think the difficulty for me is that like playing Sorare is not my job, but obviously Sorare is my job. And so I feel like I can do a pretty good job of separating the two, of knowing like when I'm working and when I'm playing Sorare. And one certainly helps the other, but I don't, I'm not bored because I feel like the new gameplay is still a challenge, and it's the challenge within the challenges within the game. And I'm not talking about the, collect 5 cards of guys, which they actually call challenge. Do they still call it challenges? The only reason why I'm looking this up is because I got like a notification for what they do call it challenges. So like these things, I even have, like, let's see which one I just got. Collector. Rank first in 3 different collections that have at least 100 participants. I didn't even know I had that. Hold on, let me claim it. New badge unlocked. Let's go. The collector badge. Manager level still just 50 because it doesn't go any higher. Am I first in 3? Second, first. You know what's funny is I was first in this one until somebody passed me with, I think because of their 90-day thing. But anyway, those are not the challenges I'm talking about. The challenges are more just like trying to win as much as you can. And I think I've had some success since the new gameplay changes, and I mentioned to Keith that I think I'm actually winning more cash than I ever did on Sorare. And part of the reason why I've been fortunate enough to win cash is because I changed my strategy to try to get the best cash winning lineups I can. And there's winning, like, actually, I don't think I even finished first. I think I finished second in contender rare in season. But I don't know. I find the competing aspect of the game still really interesting. And I like divisions and I like working my way to Division 1. And not that I like the frustration of getting relegated, but I understand it. And I realize like that's part of the game that you need to be successful in. And if you don't, yeah, you're punished. And so now you got to work a little harder to get back up to Division 1. And I think that a lot of the responses to getting relegated is just completely negative. Oh, I can't believe that happened to me. My players let me down, as if they have any idea who you are. And it's a lot of excuses to justify the loss of your Division 1 spot, which I generally view as time wasted to try to get it back. But again, that's like the way that my mind works. That if something negative happens, and I like obviously getting relegated from the top divisions in Sorare, that's a negative thing to happen to you. How do you get back? Think about how you can get back. You can't do anything about the relegation once it happens. So let's figure out how to get back there. And I think there are just a lot of Sorare managers who are, again, they have their card. These are the cards I buy. I bought them for Division 1, and then you get down and you're like, all right, how do my cards get me back? How do I get back to Division 1? And if you struggle because your cards aren't good enough, or you just have the wrong matchups, and it's like, well, you're not doing what you can to get back there. And like, that's the game now. The game is to get into Division 1 and then try to score as many points, or excuse me, score more points than everybody else. Like, that's the game. And so if you're not in Division 1, and it was like, oh, I can't believe I won Division 2. Like, I've won Division 2. Yeah, it's like a bummer that you didn't get the top prize. But guess what? Now you're in Division 1. Sorry. Josh said the unique users want to buy the unique once and just farm cash with that for as long as they can play, can understand the argument on both sides. Well, I think the uniques, the values of uniques now are more tied to their added utility for 1 year and then not. Although again, you only need 3 uniques for in-season, like new in-season ones, but whatever. ZM Star said, Sorare never asks what you can do for what we can do. What can we do? All right, let me start that over because this isn't fair. Sorare never asks what we can do for the older players. It's always how can we fuck them over just a bit more without them leaving. So I think this is totally wrong. Like, I completely disagree with you on this. Because I don't think they're going out of their way to say, how do we punish our older users? But I do think there is a very significant view of trying to attract new users or making the game more attractive for people who joined more recently. And just the byproduct of that is older users feel like they're getting squeezed out. But I don't think they're like purposely, obviously they're not purposely trying to screw their old users over. Malky said, I was thinking about the challenges the other day. What a waste of time. Those were like, I can't think of, like, I imagine those things took a long time. And I wish they wouldn't do that. Palma said, I do like the league structure more. I do like the league structure, more to strive for and challenge to get up there and stay there. Major NFT said play and pray is not a strategy anymore. I mean, it is, but it's not a great one. Surf said, me saying about how you keep winning wasn't meant to undermine your point, by the way, just that I think a lot of grumpy people are stubbornly expecting rewards without adapting. So I think there is a lot of that. I think there, and I kind of mentioned it before, but like winning used to be easy. And it was particularly nice to win without much effort with cards that you had previously won. That's how I play baseball, basically. I bought one baseball card since the first season, and I just plug my cards in and I just wait for rewards to come in. And if they don't, like, oh well. And it, I think, baseball and NBA can be very fruitful if you want to put the time in. And I just don't. Not because the games aren't fun. I love the football product, and that takes up like the time that I have for Sorare in my life. And maybe the fact that that my job revolves around Sorare, maybe I don't want to spend more of my free time, but like I still put in lineups for MLB and NBA. But for football, like I felt like I made a very conscious decision to try to win cash in competitions that I felt like I could compete in better than others. It's the reason I don't play Prem and I don't play La Liga and I don't play Bundesliga and I barely play Champ, that I just don't feel like the skills that I have will benefit me as much there as I do playing Challenger and Contender. As weird as that sounds, because I don't know anything about football. But I find that knowing how to play the game, like I know how to play the game on a bigger scale, meaning when my previous most consistently successful time on Sorare was when I was playing like AllStar. It was like AllStar Rare, AllStar Rare Pro. I always say Plo because I want to say plus. I want to, like, I'd go to say Pro and then I remember it's plus like halfway through. But anyway. And the game at that time was not buy the most expensive cards and just throw them in. It was find who the best scorers are for the least amount of money. And everybody who played the game, that's why Morioka is somebody that we know. It's why Cecina is somebody we know. And I liked that part of the game. Like I liked that idea. And I liked that I could find guys for River Plate who would absolutely destroy whoever they were playing in a midweek. And I could be really competitive there versus the Champions League teams in the, late in the season where they were playing two hard teams playing each other, and River Plate was just, beating up on whoever, Banfield or whatever. And I like that part of the game. And Challenger and Contender more closely resembles that. So as much as I want to say like I adjusted my strategy, I did it while still keeping it within the confines of the game that I was previously successful playing. Whereas like in the Prem, so like the reason I like Contender and the reason I like Challenger is while there are some dominant teams, there are plenty of players that you can find who score similarly to players on those elite teams, but cost a fraction of the price. And that part of the game for me, like that was always a huge part of the game for me. It's like the similar players tab on Sorare Data was like one that I always would use because it was the simplest way to find similar players of guys that I knew everybody wanted. Like this is Jude Bellingham. And if you just look at similar players, like we know Jude is a great player and you can find like U23 players that are like him. But even if you took off the same age range, Jude was probably a bad example because he's aged out. Who do we want to use? I don't know why Robert Lewandowski came into my head, but it's like, all right, who scores as well as Lua, who may not have cost as much. And you find guys like Fusene Diabate, who was he in Turkey? Yeah. But is now at Lausanne. I was going to say Luzerne, but maybe it is. I don't know. Wow. Absolutely banging. How about that? But anyway, you find random guys. Would you rather spend $515 on an in-season Robert Lewandowski, or would you rather spend $30 on Christian Benteke? And I'm not saying they're the same, but it allowed you to find players, Dominic Fitz, Juni Ito. Like, these are the guys that you could buy and compete in AllStar and be successful. And that is now much harder in Prem, La Liga, Bundesliga, and I'll even put Champ in there, which is why I don't compete there. So like, I knew what my strengths were in Sorare, and I saw where in the game I could still do that, and that's where I compete. That's how I adjust. And now I'm starting to branch out on Champ. I think it's a mistake because I just think I'm not going to end up being very good at it. But that's what it is. Major NFT said the game would be boring if it didn't change, which I think is right, but also, like, I think there are people who really dislike it's not even constant change. I think somebody said earlier in the chat, and I apologize that I didn't pull it up because I meant to, but they were basically saying this is the longest time we've gone without a change, even though we went through these like massive changes. But I don't necessarily think Sorare need to constantly change the game just to keep us entertained. Ben said, have you played the new NBA Common game yet? How good would a football Common All-Star game with the same common market in place be? I think it'd be fine. I have played the Common NBA game, kind of. I do know some people who take it very seriously, and they've liked it so far. Yeah. Beautiful Mistakes. Do we think this is Beautiful Mistakes X or Beautiful Mistakes 10? Is it a Roman numeral? If you could let us know. I played MLB this season for the first time, and it felt more stable to win things. The funny thing about MLB is that fantasy baseball is super variant, game week to game week, game to game. But your returns are fairly stable. I don't know. Major NFT said it's easier because there are not as many people who play, which is fair. MLB funded football for me. And Bob Flynn said the same thing. That's what he does. He wins MLB money and then buys football cards. Misaki said the most boring people in Sorare are those who just stack the big teams. Holty said, Contender's great. I just don't like winning K-League cards. So shout out to Hoodwink, but I also hate winning K-League cards. And I've done that like 3 times in a row. Major NFT said you could have gotten Omar Marmouche before the season for a steal. Yeah, absolutely. Finding those players were fun. Was fun. There you go. Sorry. Surf said Real Madrid stackers are the grumpiest people on Sorare right now. I will say though, like I meant to bring this up on a couple shows ago, and I forget why I didn't bring it up. But like the values of those cards really hasn't been that different. Like, oh no, are we beyond 3 months now? Like if you look at new season Vinny or new season, Vinny Jr. cards. Oh, I thought that would expand for me. Sorry. Come on. So like the first couple were $1,500, but you could get one at 11. Like the number 3 Vinny Jr. Did I say Vinny Souza? That's really funny. Vinny Jr. Number 3 on July 31st. This was an early access card. Number 3 was $1,100 and $1,102, and one sold 3 days ago for $1,042. Like that is incredibly stable pricing. Like incredibly stable. And I think we see that with a number of Real Madrid cards. Valverde's may have even been going up. Yeah, Valverde's has gone up because he's been better. But like Mbappe, let's see. So they were around 2,000. Maybe those have gone down a little bit. 1736 was the last secondary market sale of Mbappe. 1536. So gone down 2-ish hundred after losing 2 months of utility. Like they're surprisingly stable. So while those people may not be winning a ton of money, like Eder Militao 5 of 100 on July 31st was $317, and one sold 2 days ago for $238. It's not a drastic drop for the. Again, they've played what, 10 games already? 12 games? I don't know how far La Liga is in. Yeah, 11 games in. That's a good guess. So yeah, like they haven't maybe they haven't won that much in terms of their yield, but at least those values are staying. Genesis says, I stack PSG. I love being boring. Genesis, you also stack like PS. Do you still do that? PSG, like alums? That's your team. So I get it. It's fine. And Genesis wants to sell Jude. Why do you did you win Jude? That's fun. Oh no, you bought Jude. Why are you selling Jude? Sorry, I thought we were all looking at this together. Anyway, if anybody wants to buy Genesis's Jude, he's the floor. Andreas said, I would also say that prices generally are quite low compared to what you can win. It's less true of the bigger cards, but there is still so much to be potentially won. So I agree. And that's just how I keep looking at the game. Chris said, is there a way of seeing who you bought with a market credit on SD? No, there is not. I don't think that information is in the API for us, for anybody. Ben said, is this stability not a direct result of Sorare managing supply correctly on these cards? I think it absolutely plays into that. Absolutely. And that's why I find it funny when we hear all this feedback of, I can't believe Sorare sold all these cards, it's going to kill prices. And then we look at those prices and it's like, they actually don't, it really hasn't killed it that much. Like people are pretending like things have been cut in half, and the Oreo, I guess, swapped this one pretty cheap. $1,000 for Jude. Oh, and that's a special edition too. 1,300. What is that? There's just not that much liquidity. But I imagine like Jude's not a player that probably leads to a lot of liquidity. Like once you have Jude, you're probably keeping him. Genesis said, yeah, PSG alums and French kids. There's nothing better actually than like, I forget who it was, but I was scouting somebody for the French special, which I kind of hope Genesis wins. I don't even know if Genesis has a lineup in there, but I was like going through cards or who owned cards of the guy I wanted, and Genesis had one. I was like, all right, I'm on the right track here. Andrea said prices for good cards were very low for many at the beginning, while average cards were too expensive. That's an interesting observation. Huh. Auction rates are way, way down. Yeah, of course. Bakwa. It wasn't Bakwa, but I was looking at Bakwa. I put a bid in for a Bakwa last night. I went to sleep hoping I'd just get it, and I got outbid by one bid, and I was furious. Malky said, what is your policy on selling contender rewards? Do you hold or immediately sell? Guessing the latter more often than not. That's funny that you think that you could just sell contender rewards easily. I don't have a policy. I will say there was a time on Sorare when I had gotten rid of so many cards to bots, like so many extras that I felt like I didn't really have any cards to give away anymore. Not give away, but like whenever a bot got a card, it was like, oh, let me go get it because I have all these rewards. And I don't have that many now, although I'm starting to get a few rewards. And but no, I don't just immediately sell them. Because I don't win that many good rewards, to be honest. I'm hoping I get a really good one today. Today's the first time in a long time that I could win a really cool card. I'm fully expecting it to be a DNP and have it be worthless, or somebody that like I can't use, or like an end of season, in season card that is just a total fucking bummer because it's happened to me a couple times. Apologies for swearing, but this is the first time in a while where I'm like excited about a reward. And I'm just expecting to be disappointed, which is really probably a bad experience for Sorare overall, but it is what it is. We go again this weekend. I finished second in AllStar Super Rare this midweek. That's all. This is the lineup. Armani, Franco Armani, Paulo Diaz, Juanfer, Tom Ducroc, if that's how you say his name, and Benny Traore. And I wasn't remotely close to first. Yeah, 39 points away. But a tier 2 super rare is cool. I don't think I've ever won a tier 2 super rare. I don't win many super rares. Yeah. Do you think rewards are easy to fix? It depends what you mean by fix. I don't think they're easy, because if they were easy, somebody from the community would have had a Medium post somewhere of like, this is what it should look like. And I haven't really done that. And nobody else has. And all the data's out there. Like we know what the prize, but it's just a lot of work. And that's not to give like Sorare an out, because it's like somebody's job. Maybe it's a couple people's jobs. I don't know. But I do think that there continue to be some like glaring mistakes in rewards that that just don't get fixed. And I don't think that they appreciate the frustration from the users that have to experience that like incredibly negative experience. Like I like you could argue that, like, do the rewards need fixing in terms of like how many they give away in super rare competitions, or that they give away too many DNPs or the wrong DNPs, or who is in the tier pool, or is the money that is distributed too top heavy or not? Like there are a lot of things like excuse me, there are a lot of places you can attack rewards on Sorare. The ones that tend to be the most negative that I see, particular super rare, which is why I feel like I'm going to get disappointed later. But it's just not understanding why certain players are in tiers and seemingly like unchecked. You would just look at the prize pool and you'd be like, oh, this guy shouldn't be here within a second. And it feels like that's not being done. So that's frustrating. Kushje said reward structure could be easy if you work with snapshots or simply no more card rewards and only cash in all comps. So Surface to Air Missile has said that for years. He thinks they should only give away cash. And I think the split between in-season and classic right now shows why they don't do that, because there's just not enough cash to give out just cash in classic competitions. Like they don't make enough money to do it. Mike Basson, with the question that really we should have all been addressing this whole time. What do you think relights the fire in those people you've been speaking to who have become bored? And Mike himself said he was one of them. And the answer is, I don't know. Because I think it has to be more of an attitude change from the user, like not to like blame the users, but it does feel like a lot of the, and Surfula, excuse me, said it earlier, that a lot of people have just kind of stubbornly kept playing the game like they always have, expecting to win as much as they have, even though the game is different. And the game is very different. And I appreciate people who like don't want to put money into the game anymore, but it's tough to blame the game for like a lack of success when you've done nothing to change it. Now, that's not obviously going to be the way that Sorare kind of reignites the flame for these people. And I think one of the things that actually just reignites a love for Sorare is winning. That once you get a really good reward, that feeling doesn't go away for a while. And so it's a bit of a not a chicken and the egg, but these people need to put in like a little bit of effort, a little more effort. And then when they win something great, they're like, oh, I forgot what this is like. And then they were like, all right, I did a little work and I won. And I think, yeah, I think it's just, it moves like winning, like if you are bored because you're just doing the same thing over and over again, maybe don't do that. Maybe do something differently. And if you find success there, then it's like, okay, now I'm having fun. So I don't know. Andre said the game is always different because they constantly change the rules in their favor. Let's say I disagree with that. They don't constantly change it. And you're going to cite like 3 or 4 things that have happened over the last 2 years, which is a long time. It's like 100 years in real time. 2 years in Sorare is a long time. Like, oh yeah, they changed threshold in their favor. Yes, they were going to go bankrupt. They got rid of threshold. Yes, because they were going to go bankrupt. And this in-season classic seems to work. I feel like we've all agreed that like we can tell that this is a more sustainable platform and allows Sorare to keep going. And that's what we want. We want Sorare to keep going. And maybe it's not as fun for some people, but I'm still having a lot of fun. So yeah, that's it. Ben said hobbies have a life cycle that people who have been around for 3 or 4 years are probably reaching the end of that life cycle. It's natural. I think that's fair. Absolutely. And kind of what I was saying before, like I used to play season-long fantasy baseball, basketball, NFL. I don't play them anymore. Played DFS for years. I don't do that anymore. So yeah, maybe games do just have life cycles. And I will say that like most of the people that I talk to that are bored either joined before me or around when I joined. And yeah, maybe I'm the outlier. Maybe me still liking it. But like Andy said yesterday, Black, like he's still having a ton of fun. I don't want to speak for him, but like I straight up asked him, I was like, are you bored with Sorare? And he was like, no. Ben said, to play devil's advocate, the fact 100 years of Sorare time is equal to 2 years of real time kind of proves the point that they change a lot. No, it's the other way. 2 years of real time. Excuse me. 100 years of real time is 2 years in Sorare. Like it feels like we've been here forever. And when you think of how many, it's like 3 or 4 changes. It's not that bad. But I also think people way overestimate the change. Like ETH, I would argue since I joined the platform, the only 2 meaningful gameplay changes were the recent one where they made in season and classic and getting rid of threshold, which was really the same thing. or basically it had to do with the threshold. Let's put it that way, because introducing thresholds to the other scarcities, that was probably the biggest change since, like, from when I joined in November 2020 until they announced cap modes and thresholds for the other scarcities. That was the first like gigantic change for me. And then the new gameplay that they introduced earlier this year. Like 50% captain bonus plays into that, which I don't think is that. I don't think that's a significant gameplay change. Nobody looks at this game and they're like, wow, I love everything about this game, but that 50% captain bonus, I'm not playing that. Nope. I guess that's just part of it. But the move of like, hey, do you want to play for cash or for cards? Like that was a significant change. But I wasn't really like, the point of this show was not to say this is what these board people should do, because I don't have the answer. But it's also not really my answer to find. Wei said the classic / in-season split is not good. They should have made a smooth transition. For example, every year, minus 5% season bonus. So a 3-year card gets minus 10% or minus 15%. That just seems way too complicated for people to figure out, to be honest. And like, they should have made a smooth transition. They did like a 6-month transition. We were more than prepared by August. Like, they announced it in February, March, something like that, and didn't really do it until August. Like, I think that's more than enough time. Agent Cooper said adding the limited scarcity was huge, but an addition rather than a change. Yeah, I wouldn't call that a gameplay change. Graham said people are genuinely seem upset that Sorare is a for-profit company, wants to make money and have a sustainable product. Lister play was a big change for a lot, I guess. I mean, we got used to that very quickly. Yeah, and it worked. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call those like major changes. Like, nobody was really changing their lineup strategy based on Lister play. Maybe people traded less, but I don't know. Ben said fitness was a big scare. Fitness, the big scare that we all brought our pitchforks out against, they got rid of it. And then months later, we were like, I wonder if they did fitness. I wonder if that would be a good idea. So we'll see. Yeah, see, fitness would have been good. Andrew Guio? I don't know, but you're an Andrew, so what's up? Is Rivals cooked? No, Rivals is fun. You play Rivals for fun. Full stop. Andre said, well, they didn't announce they put card rewards into in-season as well, and they also didn't announce 50% nerf of the boxes in Classic. Didn't they nerf the in-season ones too? I would love to like find out what led them to say, yes, we are going to put boxes in season, and if they thought that was a good idea, and if the essence calculations were based off of in-season boxes being a thing or not. We'll see. So I've gone 89 minutes. Nope, 79 minutes. Sorry, couldn't count as fast. Ben said adding boxes to in-season felt like a big shift for me. I agree. It shifted it for me. I don't know if other people did, but like, it made me look at in-season differently. And the nerf of boxes hasn't changed me wanting to play in-season. Yeah, we'll see. Agent Cooper said, I just want Sorare to be fun. And with a lot of managers going into next season with more classic cards than they need, I think Sorare does need another game mode along with Rivals and SO5 to help. Maybe. Major MT, what if Essence and Classic card rewards for in-season? No. Cash and in-season. That's it. We don't need We don't need more in season. I'm sure Sorare would want that. They want more people to play in season. And so that's all. Misaki said, I think many of us were planning to just start with Classic, then slowly shift to in-season during the course of the season, and the 50% boxes changed everything. I mean, it changed it for a lot of people. Like, there are plenty who still don't do it. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I have to go. The stream was regular time on a Friday for everybody in Europe, but it was an hour later for me here in the States because we haven't changed our clocks back. We do that on this Sunday. So my schedule's all thrown off today. And so I have to go. But thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. And yeah, if you have any suggestions of how to make the game more exciting for old, stubborn, grumpy people, drop them in the comments below. No, but seriously, if there's I'm always open to hearing what people think are good ways to improve the game and get people more interested. I will say, if you use the phrase burn mechanism or even just the word burn, I will just stop reading your comment. And so just keep that in mind. But anyway, thank you everybody for coming. Good luck this weekend. Don't forget to get those steps in.